Dr. Jeff talks love, Dr. Jeff talks life, answers your questions, cuts through the strife. Sex and intimacy, real and true, evidence-based, made just for you.
Welcome to Dr. Jeff Talks about sex and intimacy. This is the podcast where we explore the science, the psychology, and the art of sexual health, relationships, and human connection. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Albaugh, and each week we bring you evidence-based conversations and practical insights to help you build healthier, more fulfilling intimate relationships. That's what we all want. So this episode is number 84, bringing play back to sex. Bringing play back into your life. Practical strategies for connection and desire. I am so excited about this follow-up episode. It's really exciting. We did one earlier this year in May, and this is the follow-up. Whether you're joining us live or listening, thank you. Thank you for being here. Your life and your time is so important. So thank you for joining us. You are why this podcast exists. And I'm so happy you are here. Don't forget to like us, subscribe to us, or follow us. It just allows us to do more on all the different platforms if you do that. So please do so. And we really appreciate you following, liking us, and all those great things. The mission of the podcast is simple. It's just to empower and enlighten you with evidence-based information to improve your sexual health, to deepen your loving relationships so you can live your one fabulous, wholehearted life with more love. I know I want more of that. So our previous episode on the power of play, it struck a chord with so many listeners because it challenged the idea that better sex comes from trying harder. Instead, we explored how curiosity, laughter, and creativity and playfulness can help us move beyond pressure and performance into more authentic connection, which is where we want to be. Joining me once again is Lena Elkhatib. And I'm also delighted to welcome back her, a colleague and friend, and my other friend that you've seen several times, Dr. Susan Kellogg-Spadt. Together, we're going to explore more about concepts to practical applications by sharing real-world examples of ways you can put play into your relationship, into your intimacy, and into your life. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs in intimacy don't happen when we solve another problem. They actually happen when we give ourselves permission to be curious, to laugh, and simply enjoy being together. So my guest today, I'm going to briefly give you you've met them before, but Lena Elkhatib is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She is an ASEX certified therapist and an ASEX certified sex therapy supervisor. So she trains people how to be sex therapists. She specializes in helping individuals and couples navigate concerns related to desire, to intimacy, to sexual functioning and relational dynamics, as well as erotic well-being. Lena is an amazing, passionate, compassionate clinician who helps clients move away from performance-focused thinking towards embodied experiences. And also we have my buddy, Dr. Susan Kellogg-Spadt. She's an internationally recognized clinician, educator, researcher, and advocate. She is my go-to first person for anything to do with female sexual dysfunction. She is an amazing sexologist with decades of experience caring for individuals and couples experiencing sexual health concerns. So without further ado, I would like to go to my guest and welcome them both here. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having us.
Hello, thank you for having us.
I am so excited about tonight's topic because all three of us remember, and our children reminded us too, we used to know how to play. inherently we knew how to play and inherently we know how to play. But life happened and it kind of overshadowed all that. And it kind of took away our ability to be more spontaneous and just to live in that world of play. So, what do we even mean by play? Play isn't necessarily being silly or doing elaborate sexual activities. It could be any of those things, but it's really a different mindset. It doesn't have a definitive purpose. It's embedded in curiosity, in flexibility, experimentation, and low stakes. And so, what do you all think? Tell me a little bit about what you think we're talking about tonight when we're talking about play in relationships as well as in intimacy and sex. What do you think first, Lena?
I think play is not something we do, it's a mindset. It's a way that we show up where the stakes are low. We do things because, quite frankly, we feel like it for no other reason than that. We're
Mm,
experimenting with this notion of like, what if? It's really, I look to children for guidance around this because they do it so well, but it's this mindset where you're seeing possibilities, you're acting on them, nothing's holding you back. And that very naturally translates into closeness, connection, exploration, sexually and otherwise.
I love that. Suze, what do you say about play? You've heard some thoughts from us. We just all believe play is so powerful and so transforming. What are some of your thoughts on it, Suze?
Well, when I think about play, I think about having fun and I think about laughing and I think about feeling light, not feeling burdened by work or worry or just, oh my God, thinking what other people think or what I even think too deeply about, and just kind of letting myself be free. And to do that with another person is just amazing. I think as kids we don't think it's anything special, it's just what we do, but as adults it's pretty hard to get to that space.
Mhm.
Because we just do it. And that's a great lead in. Lena, you had some thoughts, and I think this is a great place to begin. Because we just don't seem to know how to play like we used to play, what are some of the pathways that lead us into that space and place of the mindset of play?
hmm And I think that's something that is so important because we talk about play being important, and then people are like, okay, cool, I want to be more playful. And that suddenly becomes one more chore or task or job you're doing. Now it is 8:05, it is time for me to play. It doesn't work that way. These pathways that we talk about, they're individual, but it's recognizing where you're at. Are you in a place of anxiety? Are you pissed off at something? Are you feeling the heaviness and the stress of the day? And knowing where you're at, what gets you to this place where you can kind of shake that off? Is
Mm,
it sensory? Do I need quiet? Do I need to let myself transition into that space? Do I need to listen to some music and engage my senses in a certain way? Maybe it's about relationally, maybe it's about connecting with my partner in a place of care. And when I feel cared for, I can now transition into play. But really, those pathways, and there's more than one, is knowing what do I need to do to get from the state that I'm in to a place where I can release anxiety, stress, that chore mindset, and let myself be present. And figuring out your pathways is its own exploration that can be play of sorts. Learning
and
that about yourself.
totally. But it sounds like everything you're saying, an underlying foundation that has to be there is safety. You have to feel safe to play, whether it's sexual or not. All of us have to feel safe to be able to play with our partner, and so that's a underlying foundation of it, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The whole premise of play is that the stakes are low. You can come in and you can come out with no consequence. If
Mm,
there isn't safety, that can't exist.
mm. Totally agree. So those pathways are really important and they're there. They're primal. They've been there all along. So allow yourself to be led into the beautiful world of play. But we always talk about foreplay and how it really can begin 48 hours ahead of time, and how,
Mhm.
the relationship is what leads us into emotional engagement and intimacy and sex. So before we get to the sex and the intimacy and all that stuff, Susan, can you talk to us a little bit about, I know you had some strong thoughts about just putting play into your relationship and putting the beauty of that into our loving relationship.
So one of the things I did to get ready for tonight's show was I canvassed several of my patients and some of my friends, and I asked them about their relationship. And I said, how do you play with your partner? And so many of them said, well, I don't. Or are you talking about just when we're on vacation or blah, 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 blah. And so I said, well, let's broaden our thought about play, because immediately people's minds then go to sex, which is fine with me, but let's go not to sex for a minute. So let's go to the things that like build strong relationships and make a person feel emotionally bonded with another. So let's say I had a card game going on with you guys right now, and I was playing a new card game that I never knew about, but you were trying to teach me. I would have to feel safe, wouldn't I, that you weren't going to come down on me for being stupid and not learning the card game. But once we got going, and whether we kept score or not, we'd start laughing, right? We'd start cracking up. We'd take the card and discard and just have a good old time doing that. So the newness of something new can be part of play. And then the emotional bonding that happens when you're playing with someone is so important. So here's some ideas from my friends and my patients. And some may resonate, some may not. So lots of times when people have been together a long time, their idea of a night of entertainment is to sit on their bottoms and watch Netflix or Prime or whatever. And they're not really playing. They're kind of one way something. Okay. So they're doing one way communication with the device. And so to turn off that TV sometimes and think about taking a walk around the block, that can be playful. Going for mini golf. That's a crack up sport. I mean, I think it is. You don't have to be particularly skilled to play mini golf, but it can be really, really fun. Some people only do it once a year on vacation when they go to the beach. There's no reason it can't be done a lot more than that. Having a card game, I mentioned, learning a new card game with your partner, bringing out an old board game with your partner, with the neighbors, something like that. All forms of play. One of the things that I know we all see is as couples retire, they have nothing in common. They don't play together because there was one person going to work, the other person going to work, coming home, eating a bite, watching Netflix, going to bed, repeat, repeat, repeat. And so they don't know how to play or have fun with one another. And so some ideas about other of my patients and friends, they have taken up a sport, a brand new sport that neither one of them was good at. Because remember, safety is not being on unequal terms, not having somebody who's an expert in whatever, skiing, and another person who's still on the bunny hill, unless
Mhm.
it's fun for you. But so sometimes they'll take up a new sport. So here's some ideas from friends and patients. One is they got a dog. They didn't have any grandchildren, so they decided to get a little puppy. Raising the puppy can be very playful and fun, and puppies themselves can be playful and fun. But then one of the couples I think are very successful at this. They were really growing apart in retirement. They got a dog and they started something called leer coursing, where the dog chases like a fake bunny around a course, and there's a timer and there's a judge and that kind of thing. I have another couple who did the same thing, except they got show dogs and they go to shows and show the dogs. Does not necessarily appeal to me, but it's a form of play for them. It's something that they really bond over and do together. I have a couple I know very well that took up golf together. They'd never golfed a day in their, well, mini golf, yes, but real golf, took lessons together, learned together at age 65 for the very first time, and are really loving going to golf courses. Neither of them are any good at golf, I might add, but they laugh and laugh and laugh and literally play together, and then they recap the game at the end of the night over maybe a drink or a dinner or something like that. You see how fun that is? Like, just
Mm.
really playful. Other people do things like they learn mahjong. That is an ancient Chinese game. Traditionally, mahjong was played by men in China, but in America, it's played mostly by women. but a lot of women mahjong players are teaching their partners that, and so that they play in groups of 4, et cetera, at mahjong tables. So that, like, again, does it appeal to you? Maybe not, but you're going to find something that appeals to you. And so remember the tenets Lena expertly went over is that you have to feel safe, you have to be curious, and it doesn't have to be exactly equal in terms of how much you're into it, the two people that are playing, but at least nobody should be averse or disgusted by whatever it is that you're trying to do. Jeff and Lena, your thoughts?
Well, it's so funny because you totally, one of the things I was going to talk about was this concept. This is just an idea for listeners. Bring back the dating version of yourself. Dating Jeff, the person who, when you first started dating, that had absolutely nothing to do with sex. What did you go do on your dates? You already said many golfers on my list. Maybe you went dancing. You cooked together. You stayed up talking all night together. You took a spontaneous drive together. I had playing cards, which you said, and going to a concert. But I thought, wow, what a fun thing to kind of play, to think, what did we used to do that we like to do on dates that we don't do anymore? So bring back date Jeff or date Susan or,
Mhm.
date
I
Lena.
love that. Right,
Absolutely.
exactly. Lena, how about you?
And I love everything you were both saying. And I think the thing that's sitting with me, again, I keep going back to it's a mindset because it's about possibility. Simply asking the question of, hey, do you think that sounds fun? Let's do
Mm,
it. And that can be doing something new together. Novelty is fun. When you do it right, when you do it with openness, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's an activity or a sport or a game. And I want to add to that, finding the possibility in the small moments. You can make dinner. You probably make dinner every night or acquire dinner. But if you light a candle, play some music, and make dinner together, now you're playing.
mm,
So there's something too about looking at the world that you're living in as is and saying, how can I spice this up just a little bit?
mm, mhm,
Because we all lead busy lives. And so there is the bringing back dating. And whoever said the day to day needs to be a grind.
mm.
So that's something that I think, especially for couples that are at certain life stages where, maybe they don't have childcare, maybe, they're at an intense point in their careers. Your morning coffee can be play if you start it with, hey, let's ask each other silly questions while we have our morning coffee.
When you talk about the grind, I remind my patients, and I say, what do you do for joy? What do you do for fun? What do you do that makes you happy and feeds your soul? Oh, I don't do anything. And I tell people, if
Mhm.
you don't intentionally put these things into your life, they won't exist. And so you go to your doctor's appointment, you go to your work, you go to your whatever, and you're like, I don't even remember how I got here, because you're on autopilot. But if you
Yes.
don't intentionally put those joyful, playful, wonderful things in there, and we've spoken over and over about curiosity instead of performance. Super, super, super important concept, I think, is really just looking at what can we do and how can we approach this with beginner's mind, a new
Mhm.
way, and
Right,
curiosity.
right.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm gonna be play devil's advocate for a minute, because if you come to date Jeff, and I'm not saying this because I really mean this, Jeff, but maybe date Jeff was 30 pounds lighter, maybe, and maybe
For
this
sure.
Jeff can't do the stuff that date Jeff did, like downhill skiing is what comes to my mind, or things like that,
Yes,
or you can do it, but
absolutely.
you really don't want to broken anything. Thank you very much. But date Jeff didn't care. He was wild and crazy. So sometimes reprising the olden days is fantastic, but sometimes recreating new patterns that fit our physical self, our mental self, our emotional self, that it calls for. Life is calling us to do things that we've never tried
Yeah.
before, as well as reprising things we've used to love and so much before. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Well, and Susan, that also
Not
makes
saying
me,
you're 30 pounds heavier, Jeff, because I don't think so.
No, I am probably, so that's true.
well, but you could totally go skiing. So,
If nothing, I can virtual ski now. That would be very doable, and I won't hurt myself. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know. I could probably hurt myself virtual skiing. I'm very skilled at that. Um,
Me too.
but it also brings up this notion of being a good playmate,
Mm,
because if I'm playing with my partner, I am attuned to where they are at. If I'm taking my partner to sing that this is gonna be really fun, we're gonna go dancing, and I'm realizing that they are miserable and they're just not enjoying it. As a good playmate, I would adapt. How can we make this fun? How can we make this enjoyable? Maybe we just, ditch the dancing and go get tacos. So being
mm,
a good playmate is recognizing, where am I? Where are you? What do we need? What do we need to adapt? And we know how to do that. That is how children play.
mm-hmm.
We forget as adults because we get kind of stuck in our heads. But if we're in that play state, we will adapt.
Remember when, like an album like Billy Joel the Stranger came out? I'm dating myself, and you got in the car and you went for a drive and you turned it off and everybody in the car just sang at the top of their lungs because everybody knew every single song on the Fleetwood Mac Rumors album or on the
Yeah.
whatever album, right? Um, just fun things like that. And then, like you said, now we are in a different space and place doing new exciting things too. I think how fun that really could be, and we do know how to play. We just have to, but you have to let your nerd flag fly.
Yes. Well, it's
What color's
interesting.
around that flag, Jeff?
All colors.
Oh my
The
God, so funny. The
There's
other thing I
something.
think that we can learn a little bit from, we can recreate a little bit from children, as children often play in groups. And I'm not necessarily saying that we need to have sex in groups, but we can certainly play in groups. We can go and again join a team of some sort, or join a community recreation center, something that you can do. But you can do that together, but then you're part of a bigger group and everybody is playing at the same time. That actually builds the exciting feeling. But it's not just a mental exciting feeling that play brings about. There's neurotransmitter changes, aren't there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's a physical change too when one is playing, that we're
And I
having.
think, like you said,
Mhm.
Susan, when we pick something, like I know we're going this weekend. My daughter-in-law has a special birthday coming up, and we're going bowling. And we are all terrible bowlers, and we have terrible bowling names. But we're just going to go. We're going to put our bowling names up on that thing, and we're gonna shoot a lot of gutter balls. So, but I think it's all good. Lena, you were trying to say something earlier, so I'd love to hear what you, because I know we're all so excited. We have a lot to say.
Well, when you were talking about, letting your nerd flag wave, the thing that came to mind for me is, uh, I'm currently doing research on the romantasy genre that's really popular right now, fairies and dragons, and it's
Mm.
really big right now. And I'm doing research on its correlation with sexual desire in women, because there is something to be said for the fact that, especially folks that are spending their day again kind of in the grind, chores, tasks, caretaking, whatever it is, but then letting themselves get immersed in this world where, you know, 6'4" winged warriors with massive penises are just doing all of these wild, crazy sexual things. They give themselves permission to be, it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
And yet they let themselves get into that world and be turned on by it and get immersed in it. And I think there's something to be said for the permission to be ridiculous, the
Mhm.
the permission to let yourself engage in something absurd. We forget that we try so hard to get it right. Like using your bowling example, the score, who are we going to win, whatever it is, versus like, hey, what's the silly name I'm going to put up on the screen? So there's something about permission to release the judgment that we have around the roles we're supposed to be in, around what it means to be serious or not, and letting ourselves just be absurd. That
Definitely be silly and absurd. I love it.
easier said than done, but again, we do it.
Because we have to take off the masks. We have to let go of all the things we've created. When we were children, there wasn't all that. Now we have all these. There's Dr. Jeff Albaugh, who's a clinician and a researcher. There's the person who edited the book. There's all these different things, but that's not the person that's showing up to play. We have to pull all those masks off, all those things we have to set aside so we can really play. And then when it comes to sex, sometimes it really helps to take things like orgasm off the table. Don't have a goal. That is not the goal. We're just going to explore touch. We're going to explore temperature, pressure, movement, sound, eye contact, kissing, all kinds of different things, breathing. Just maybe we spoon and we just breathe together naked or whatever. But I think there's so many possibilities, whether they're intimate or sexual, or whether you can have great play out in public, and you won't get arrested for it, like feeding each other at an Ethiopian restaurant or just having fun together, trying different things. So
In specifically around sex, it can be something as kind of elaborate as role play, but it can also be opening your eyes and looking at your partner while you're having sex. It can be touch in a way that you didn't normally do touch, trying a new way of being sexual with one another. But it all starts with that permission piece. The thing that I constantly hear from my clients is, I wanted to do this thing. I wanted to try this. I wanted to wear this outfit, but then I got so nervous. What are they going to think? What if it doesn't work out? What if? And at the end of the day, this is where that playful mindset comes in, where, so what if it doesn't? You laugh it off and you move on.
totally.
That was awkward. Okay, oops. Anyway, what's next? That is the attitude of play that I think translates really well into sexual experimentation, because there's room for it to not go the way you expected.
And as you get older, all kinds of funky things happen. You better have a sense of humor. And my wife and I say we laugh more during intimate moments than ever, because you're just like, oh, no, my leg will not do that anymore. And it's not going to happen. And so I think there's so many fun things. You kind of pointed to something that I sometimes call a sensation scavenger hunt. And I know, Suze, you've talked about this too, with maybe have a mask or something on, but then exploring something warm, something soft, something with pressure, something that makes you laugh, something that creates anticipation. But that sensation scavenger hunt can be fun. Starting outside of explicitly sexual touch sometimes makes it easier to lead into those things. So it can be really fun. And maybe you didn't know, wow, the back of my neck is super sensitive, and I had no idea when you touched it with a feather, it was like, whoa. Who knows, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the ways I think that food play can be really fun, is if one person is closing their eyes or has a blindfold on, and another person just goes down to the plain old fridge and picks things out of the fridge and say, can you smell this? Can you guess what this is? Oh, give me your tongue, and let's put it on your tongue. Do you like that? And before they try to guess what it is it salty? Is it sweet? Is it creamy? Is it like really doing a deep dive in sensation? That's either that is the dessert, or it's a great primer before sex play. So it can be either one, but just to kind of do a deep dive in sensation itself. And food play can be just a riot, actually. Really, really fun.
I think that sensory aspect, I love the idea of, the scavenger hunt, whether it's with food or any of the senses. For a lot of people, the pathway is sensory. No matter what I'm feeling, it helps ground me. It forces you to be present. It allows you to get back into your body. So I think whether it is the main course or the pathway, it brings a lot of value to people to just be able to return to your senses.
Definitely. And we forget about those senses. Like you said, Suze, smell these different things. Or Lena, you said, smell these things. What is that? Taste these things. What kind of berry is that? What, is that chocolate? Whatever, who knows what it is, and how fun to discover that. Another thing outside of necessarily being sexual, but if you're like, well, how do we start? the 3-minute play date. Set a 3-minute timer. I'm going to make you laugh in the next 3 minutes, or we're going to dance together for 3 minutes, or we're going to kiss. We're going to do some escalating kisses while Alexa times us off. We're going to I'm going to massage you, or we're going to tell each other a fantasy, or pull out the fairies and all the different things you talked about, Lena. But set a timer and just make it fun.
It's a great idea. Great idea, because the fact that it's time limited doesn't feel so scary, does it?
Mm-hmm.
You can do anything for 3 minutes, right?
Yes.
You know,
And again,
oh, no, go ahead.
no, again, just letting go, because maybe you don't think you can dance. Everybody can move. Just have fun. And if you're really bad at it, it's just really fun. Like, I'm a terrible bowler, but I'm going to go show everybody how horrible I am at bowling, It's okay, but you do have to let go of a lot of things to do that. Go ahead, Lena.
Well, something that I want to name too, when you're talking about this 3-minute time frame, one of the things that we don't talk about enough, or maybe we do and I'm just not paying attention, is that 3 minutes, most people would pick up their phone and scroll.
Yes.
Yep.
So much of our time, like there are these culprits that are really hijacking our ability to play. And that is one of them. For many, many people, any window where there could be a possibility to, go up to your partner and give them a kiss or a little massage on their back, or to, slow down and have your dinner, most of the time a phone jumps in and it takes you away.
Mm-hmm.
You're out on your date, you're bowling or at a dinner or whatever, that phone comes up and it takes you away. And for all of us that are saying we don't have time, we're on our phones quite a bit. So there is
Really
something to be
good point.
said for recognizing what are the things that are actually jumping in and taking away the opportunities we have to even be present enough to be in that mindset.
Any screen, not just the phone, but any screen. We did a podcast on put down your phone and pick up your love life, but any screen. Think of the amount of time we spend on screens. And if you just gave up a little of that to be present with your partner, you've just given them back 20 or 30 minutes of undivided attention, the greatest gift you could ever give them. And maybe you'll explore questions like, if you never had to worry about the possibility of failing, what would you love to do and why? Just so many fun things you could explore together. Or if you felt like nobody's judging, nobody's watching, would you sing at the top of your lungs? Would you dance like nobody cared? Would you you could throw some things out. There's so many ways you could do this.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think another thing that I see hijacking couples is that everybody's playing, but they're playing with their friends, their same-sex friends. So like, whatever, their friends' friends. So a girl will go get her nails done, and then she'll do a champagne brunch, and she'll do kind of maybe some really girly things, and that's really playing, and they crack up laughing, have the best time. Meanwhile, her partner, whether it's male, female, or any gender, is out maybe on the golf course, or maybe a poker night, or I'm being very, very gender polarizing, but I'm trying to point out that what they're not doing is those fun, great nights out together. And so I hear patients saying, I'm a golf widow, or men saying all she does is party with her friends, or all she wants to do is girly little things. Well, there has to be something that you can meet in the middle. And so challenging patients, well, I don't want you, let your friends be a blank widow or widower. Because you're with me doing stuff all the time. And so what would that look like? How could that feel? And so they have to redefine that middle space where they're not going left and right, but they're meeting in the middle. So see that all the time.
Esther Perel named that erotic displacement and talked about how we take our erotic energy and we use it up. Not that it's finite, but we're using our erotic energy in all of these spaces. But sometimes, we come back to the relationship and we get back into this mindset of, the grind, the chores, the kind of energy. I don't know about you all, but those times where you're out with friends and you're having a blast and you're joking and you're in your erotic self, and then you get into the car with your partner and you're like, oh, we should defrost the chicken for tomorrow.
Exactly.
There's something that happens there where like you switch into this other place, and all of that erotic energy that's stays in the in the friend group.
Yeah.
And who deserves it more than your partner? But you're so right, Lena. Gosh, it's so true. You go into practical mode and what has to be done, and did the kids get picked up, all those things, and you lose sight of that fun that you allow yourself to do with your girlfriends when you all go blah blah blah, do whatever, fill in the blank, right? So how could you fill in the blank and do something together that way? It can be really fun. But I do think and again, always for us, I always encourage people, it's not about performance. It's not about a goal. Did you feel connected? Did you have fun? Then you succeeded. You ticked all the boxes you needed to. If no one had an orgasm, if nobody, whatever, it doesn't matter. Did you have fun and did you feel connected? Those are the central goals of play. So I think they can be really important. So I guess as we finish up, what's one small playful thing someone listening that you each would say to them? Think about that. I'm going to do my, I got to do my centering exercise. And then I will come back and we will talk about that in just a minute. But as we do at this point, I am going to get our listeners back into their bodies. So can you make room for play, listeners? As we close today's conversation, I'd like to invite you to take a few moments for yourself. So if you're able, place both feet comfortably on the floor or simply notice the support beneath you. Get in a comfortable position, most importantly. Take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Take another deep breath in. Allow your shoulders to soften and any stress to release as you exhale. As you continue that deep breathing pattern, consider this simple question. Breathe. Breathing's powerful. When was the last time I allowed myself to experience intimacy with curiosity instead of expectation? When was the last time I allowed myself to experience connection, intimacy with curiosity rather than expectation? Not to perform, not to accomplish. We're called human beings, not human doings. Let go of doing and just be. Simply to experience. Now imagine approaching your next moment of connection, not with a checklist, and believe me, I know checklists, or a goal, but with the openness of exploration. Maybe that means sharing a laugh. I love when I laugh so hard it hurts. That is an amazing thing. Holding a kiss a little longer, not just a quick peck, but a little longer. Trying something new. Something novel, something different you haven't tried. Or simply giving yourself permission to notice what feels pleasurable in your body, what feels good. Remember, play isn't about being silly or getting everything right. You can be silly. You can get things right, but that's not what it's about. It's about creating safety. It's about discovery. It's about allowing yourself to be fully present with another person, not judging yourself or anybody else, just allowing yourself to be. As you take one final deep breath, carry this intention with you. Today, I give myself permission to replace pressure with curiosity, with expectations, with explorations, and to replace performance with presence. Performance with presence. So, Vic, can you show our listeners what's up next week on Dr. Jeff Talks about Sex and Intimacy?
Dr. Jeff welcomes Nick Dugan, Clinical Solutions, consultant with Pisces Healthcare Solutions.
And Eric Kolb, CTO and co-founder of Elida, to explore innovative, non-invasive technologies that are changing the landscape of sexual wellness.
The conversation highlights Elitone, an FDA-cleared wearable pelvic floor treatment designed to help women and men manage urinary incontinence while supporting pelvic floor health and quality of life.
Join us on August 18th at 7 p.m. Central Time to learn more.
Gosh, we could talk forever about play. This is our second episode, and I just feel like it's such an awesome topic. I think we have to come back to it again because it's such a great topic. So, final suggestion for listeners from each of you. Lena, let's start with you, and if you can give us your final simple thing that people can do just to infuse that play mindset into their lives.
You know, I would say if there's one thing I would ask is to look at your day, whatever's happening, no major changes, no big upheavals, and simply ask the question of how could I make this moment just a little extra? Just that one question, and see what happens. And see where a little slight shift can make a moment feel a little more playful.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Kellogg, what do you got for us?
So I was sitting during the last little break and thinking, inevitably somebody in a 2-person or a 3-person relationship is going to be the instigator on this one. And if you wait your whole life for your partner to be the instigator, you might wait a very long time. So I challenge our listeners to be an instigator at least one time. Be an instigator for play. And that might, again, do however you want to do, but break the routine. Turn off the phone. Thank you, Lena. Turn off the Netflix for whatever you're watching for one night and play a little bit. And that is something it doesn't have to be sexual right off the bat. It can be, let's go for a walk outside tonight and then surprise him or her and take him out for ice cream at the end or something like that. You're like something silly. Like, what would a kid do? What would be fun for a little kid tonight? Do you know? Be an instigator and then challenge your partner. Say, did you have fun with me tonight? And hopefully they're going to say yes, affirmatively. Well, I would love it if you would surprise me sometime next week with something fun. And then just let it be.
That's awesome.
I love that. I love that. Gosh, so many good things. I guess really what I just want to remind you listeners is you inherently know how to play. You didn't used to check and judge yourself and think, can I do this? Is this okay? You just did it. When you were children, that's what we did. That's what I loved. The greatest gift my children gave me was to just watch them be so entrenched in play and what they were doing, so present, so there. And listeners, you have the ability for that. And what a beautiful gift you can give your partner to be fully present and uninhibited and just have a wonderful time playing. So I think that's our hope and prayer for all of you is that you play more in your relationship and that creates even more love. Thank you for joining us.
As Dr. Jeff talks about sex and intimacy, breaking down the science, setting your spirit free with stories, wisdom, laughter, and care, connection and confidence. He'll take